Welcome to this edition of Business Spotlight. I'm joined today by Tyler Townsend, and Tyler is the chief exec of an organization called JNT. And Tyler, I understand that that deals with customs and all kinds of import-export things. But first of all, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Gavin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Now, you're the first person really I've spoken to in your line of work. So tell me a little bit about what it is that JNT does and how you got into it. What was your inspiration for setting up your own business in the first place?
Yeah, so J&T is the border management element of moving goods across international borders. We arrange the documentation for customs clearance. So we're the ones that make sure the correct VAT and duties are paid on goods that come into the UK, as well as the documents on goods going out of the UK into places like France and Ireland. We've got clients international, so anywhere in the world that we work with. We have an approach of doesn't matter if you're big or small, you're not a number to us. We will just help you with what you need when you need it.
Yeah.
Started it 4 years ago now. And the idea behind it was I was the chief operating officer for a different company.
Mhm.
And at the time, I had some really big ideas that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the company didn't see that working. So I decided, I think it will. So
Yeah.
I set up my own business in order to capture the market that was being missed by the larger organizations. Because I feel that the small companies are the ones that get missed
Yeah.
quite often, and I don't want to miss those companies.
Okay. So it's kind of it was a there's kind of a passion or a conscience driven element to you going into this, or is it
So
competitive? What would you say?
it was to start off with, it was a case of that I didn't want to be a competitor. I wanted to capture that area of businesses that were missed, that a
Mm.
lot of companies don't represent. I find that I work with a lot of trade organizations that always spout the names of big industry, big players,
Yeah.
but I worry about the little person. What about the companies that don't
Mm.
fall into the brackets, the SMEs, the micro businesses? So I decided I was going to hedge my bets on them.
Right.
They're the ones that are going to get missed. So I target them every day, and they're the ones that I find that we get more work from. You go to a big player, you
Yeah.
get one or two jobs, but you're not big enough for them to worry about. So why not just concentrate on the ones that need you, that don't mind that 5 minute phone call or the you pop round and see them. So I'm a very family orientated business, and
Yeah.
we like to deal with the people, understand who they are, what they do. We've put faces on all of our emails now, so everyone knows who we are. Which
Yeah.
again, big business you don't do. And it was more, I didn't want to compete. I just want my little slice of the
Yeah.
industry that no one else worries about. I'm happy with that.
See, what comes across in the way that you answered that question is that you make your answer very much about them rather than about you. You know, you started off by saying, I want to do this, but then you switch to their needs. And
Yes,
I guess implicit in that is that maybe some of these companies don't feel that they get that level of attention and support from some of the bigger players in the industry. And you know, you're conscious about you want to fill that gap.
exactly.
Where do you think that kind of motivation comes from? Because it's not often in my line of work as a coach that I find people talking about their business through the eyes and the lens of their customers.
So I've been in customs clearance and transport now for about 12 years. Before that, I've worked many different customer facing jobs, as well as being military. So I
Right.
find that hearts and minds is where I take my inspiration of you deal with the customer as if it's your problem.
Yeah.
And working in the industry that I'm in and meeting all different types of people, what you find is that um, they tell you what the problem is. They usually blame you for the problem. So you have to find the solution. So I've built the business around the idea of it is our problem,
Yeah.
even though it's not. If we take that inspiration, we're going to be at the forefront of it. So when the company was built, I put three words on a piece of paper, which was help, educate, and advise. And that's what I want to build the business around, was helping others and educating them to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
and it works really well.
That's fantastic. And how do you attract? I mean, it sounds from what you're saying that the company's actually grown fairly rapidly if it's only set up
Yes.
4 years ago. How do you attract the right kind of people to work alongside you, your own team?
So I interview everyone personally, and I don't interview based on a CV. Someone gives me a CV and I ignore it. I have a conversation with them.
Hmm,
Usually goes on for about 2 hours, and I talk about everything from football. Do they have any pets? But I always ask one question that someone asked me many years ago, which is, what gets you up in the morning?
right.
What is it that wakes you up?
Hmm.
And depending on that answer, that is the one for me that gets them the job or not. So my answer when I gave it was my grandfather. My grandfather is my hero. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was the one who taught me my work ethic.
Right.
I see that as being the inspiration for me to getting up every day. Now, if someone says to me, I inspire myself, it doesn't feel right, or they pick a famous person. But if they come out with a family reason, a reason that drives them every day that they can lean on, and you can see it in their face that that's why they are the perfect member of the team, and they end up staying with me for years.
That's a really, really interesting answer. And the way that you couch everything in terms of personal relationships as well. When we spoke earlier, you talked about taking control of your destiny as being a really key driver for you.
Yeah.
Explain to me what you mean by that.
So I find that as an SME myself, that we're always going to be at the whim of having to use other big suppliers. And the
Yeah,
problem with that is big suppliers can cut that tap off at any point. They can take the work away, they can charge you a fortune. And I find that that is a huge problem for SMEs.
yeah.
So I've built a process in my own mind, which is in order to take control of my destiny, I need to take control of those suppliers. That doesn't mean buying them out or anything like that, because that's impossible. But what it means is if there is an area where I feel that we are financially throwing money all the time, we're just being leached for our funds. Let's take that back in house and let's try and do it ourselves. A good example of that is our IT. So we were spending tens of thousands of pounds a month on IT, and that was everything from software development to firewalls to computer equipment and even phones. They're all IT based and they cost a fortune. So what we did was we developed a company to take that all in house and to manage it, but manage it professionally. In doing so, we can offer a reduced rate to other companies as well that fit into the SME bracket, and we've done so. And we're in control of that. Now, obviously, that means that other companies are in the same bracket of using a supplier, but we're what I class as an ethical supplier, one that believes in that reduced cost, not the total cost. Um, Also, we look at things of longevity, 10-year plans. A lot of companies do this, which is they put down on paper, this is what we want to do in 10 years. I don't want to be in business in 10 years, which sounds mad, but I'm looking to build a charity
Yeah.
that gives back to the community. And my businesses are designed to build that charity in order to give back. And it's about giving back because I come from a very, very poor area of the country, which I feel that gets overlooked and neglected quite often. And I feel that there needs someone to advocate for that. And I feel that through business, I can do so. And that's me taking control of my destiny.
Okay. That's really, really interesting. Very focused response as well. You obviously you bring a clarity of thinking and a clarity of purpose, and you have clear drivers for what you do, and in what is a very successful business in its early years. What kind of challenges personally have you had to overcome to do that? We've spoken about the qualities that you brought and have driven things forward.
Yeah.
What have you had to overcome to do this?
So there are two things. One, very early days when I started the business, I was sued by my previous employers because obviously I'd set up a business in the same space.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that, but I learned from that, which was I should have communicated with them my thoughts and feelings on why I was doing what I was doing. and it could have gone differently. And I learned from that. And
Yeah.
anything I can teach people, especially companies or people that come to me about businesses, and the first thing I say is talk to those around you, your employers especially, and tell them what you're doing.
Yeah.
But also, I recently was diagnosed with mild autism,
Right.
which I never knew beforehand. I'd gone through years of feeling different and not understanding why it was that I could recite 10,000 pages worth of documents and be able to just pull legislation, and people ask me how I know it, and just being very candid and saying I've read it. I read it at some point. But when I was
That is
told,
that's mild autism, Tyler.
yes, yes,
Yeah, that's
it was
very
classed
impressive
as
autism, if you ask me.
yes, and I've always and that's one thing I've say to people is that we're a disability confident employer.
Yeah,
And that's mainly there because the person at the top is technically classed as disabled because he has autism. And how I look at it is I use it to the advantage of those around me. I don't see it as a disadvantage,
yeah,
but it's a massive thing to overcome. To sit there and say, okay, the reason I can do that is this,
yeah,
and I can do that for you, and teach others that autism isn't actually a kind of a death sentence almost. It's more it's a benefit to everyone else because it means that you've got someone on tap that you can mention a word to, and
yeah,
they go, oh yeah, that's this and this and this, which is perfect when you're sat in very high end meetings
yeah.
because suppliers or customers seem to think that you're a wizard when actually you're just very clued up from something you read 6 months ago.
Okay. But it's very, I mean, obviously, we've all got certain qualities about us, and you've managed, it seems, to build a business around you that is shaped to those qualities, and that your qualities are, are positive influence on the business.
That is the hope.
And that's the hope. Well, it sounds like more like a plan than a hope. You talked about not wanting to be in the business in 10 years time, and actually that's quite a refreshing thing to hear as a business coach myself, because it means people understand that their business is a tool, it's a vehicle for delivering an outcome. And mostly people come to me with that kind of thinking rather too late. So congratulations on that. But
Thank you.
it does tee up the question: what's in the near future for you in terms of your business? Where's it going next?
So over the next 2 to 3 years, we want to grow the business in terms of its core features.
Yeah,
It does its core product very well, and we want to add to that. So at the moment, we do the brokerage of customs clearance, and what we want to do is add international transport as well, and slowly add the areas that other businesses require,
mm,
but do so in a very structured way to a point where we want to set up a business in France and one in Ireland, our closest two trading partners.
yeah.
I don't want it to grow too much too quick, but I want it to grow to a point where in 5 to 10 years, when I decide it's my time, there is a vehicle for someone else to take over and increase its presence further.
Mm,
But yeah, France is definitely on my list, as is Ireland.
mm. Tyler, it's been really enjoyable talking to you, and we've got through a whole interview without even mentioning Brexit and COVID, and I consider that to be positive things.
Definitely.
We've spoken about really what matters to you in the here and now, and I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you
Likewise.
very much, and I wish you the best for the future.
Thanks, Gavin. It's been a pleasure.